Fellow travelers, you found yourself back in the LZ and welcome. This past week has been an interesting week for the channel, boosting over 10,000 views for a couple of videos that I've put out, discussing some constructive criticism that I've had for No Man's Sky, and surprisingly, the response has been overwhelmingly positive. Did not see that coming. But in my No Man's Sky has a gameplay problem video, I sort of brushed by cities and the sort of controversial subject that's been since the announcement of Beyond. And it's a conversation that I've continued to see perpetuate even since those videos, so maybe we can cover that a little more in depth, shall we? I'm going to ask you to stay to the end of the video while I make an entire argument as to the sort of impracticality of cities as we know the game now, and sort of the benefits that could potentially come from cities, knowing that we're getting optimization and a new update coming here pretty soon. I'm going to make both sides arguments on whether cities are even needed in No Man's Sky and how we could potentially benefit from cities here. So buckle your seatbelts, hold on to your butt cheeks, and let's do this. Firstly, let's talk about the state of No Man's Sky right now and why I feel that cities just aren't needed in the game. Not that I'm against cities as a thought, as a thing, because, you know, we all want things. It's nice to want things, right? But in my No Man's Sky has a gameplay problem video, I went over the idea that there is no carrot at the end of the stick in the game currently, and that we needed to stop asking for sort of just arbitrary things that don't have a meaning and purpose. Looking at much of what exists in No Man's Sky currently, a lot of what is in the game right now lacks meaning and purpose. And of course, these things don't exactly contribute to a positive and addictive gameplay loop within No Man's Sky. The first point to why cities just won't work in No Man's Sky is that they just don't seem, at least in a conceptual level in the game that we know now, there is just no practicality. Anything that you visit in the game currently just is such a short-lived experience. Literally any building that you visit in the game on a planet's surface has very short-lived duration and reason for interest. Going by this philosophy, a city in No Man's Sky would bear really the same kind of meaning and purpose. A temporary visit of sightseeing, barely any use, and an impractical purpose. It's hard to conceive that a city would have any more use than a space station would currently. And if that's the case, what is to stop users from simply utilizing a closer space station than simply searching out a city? With the game's current setup of very short-lived gameplay loop and experiences, it's hard to believe that a city would be any more practical than a trade station. Sure, it may be cool to look at, but if cities are repetitive, abundant, and very low on practicality, why spend time putting them in the game? The second point to why cities really wouldn't make sense in No Man's Sky as we see it now is that the lore very clearly states that cities just should not exist. Now, of course, this doesn't mean that No Man's Sky couldn't exactly change its lore or add new lore that would justify the creation or the existence of cities. I mean, we've had a galaxy refresh, 3 or 4 times now? It could certainly be done. Of course, that's a short point as to why No Man's Sky and its lore would sort of make cities impossible unless all of the cities are ruined cities. And thirdly, the biggest reason why cities wouldn't be very practical in No Man's Sky is performance. Anytime somebody wishes to build a base that is even bigger than moderately sized, at least on console, frame rates absolutely tank. In my time in the Galactic Hub, I've wanted nothing more than to make a gigantic community base for any and everybody to show up on, especially in save and permadeath, to make their farming and base experience a lot easier. Making a base that is no bigger than the size of the bases that you could use in Atlas Rises, game performance on my PS4 Pro absolutely bottoms out. Maybe that's a little hyperbolic, but I could see frame rates in the teens. This would be the thing that makes cities most impractical, because going to these cities would be sort of a chore and an unpleasant experience, as lower frame rates would make the visual experience sort of ugly, and the gameplay experience itself wouldn't be very fun. So now that we've gotten that out of the way and talked about sort of the impractical reasons that No Man's Sky really just doesn't need cities, let's talk about what's to come, what we know, and some reasons why cities would be a good idea. As we all know, the Beyond update is on the way, and it's already confirmed 2 sizable chunks of that update. No Man's Sky Online, of course, VR, and this is really good news for those that support the idea of cities in No Man's Sky. While we don't know a whole heck of a lot about what's going on with No Man's Sky Online, cities could potentially provide new experiences, particularly for No Man's Sky Online. New experiences are exactly what the doctors ordered for No Man's Sky, especially if we're talking about adding cities. This would be crucial to the principle of adding cities, as simply having cities for no good reason other than just to have them, in my opinion, makes absolutely no sense. Tying No Man's Sky Online and cities would be crucial and critical to the experience. Cities being added in Beyond and Beyond would have to give exclusive functionality and experiences that any other place in the game. You and I both know that we regularly visit space stations when we arrive to a new star system, especially if we're trading or we're looking for new ships. While watching DM21 Gaming stream the other day playing Satisfactory, he mentioned, and this is a game that I know very little about, the game is particularly focused on building factories on planets. This is just one of many exclusive performance and functionality things that a city could provide in No Man's Sky, more so than, say, a space station could. In my top 10 things that No Man's Sky 2.0 could use to be a better game video, and do check that out in the description below, I mentioned quite a few of those items that could be an exclusive experience and functionality to No Man's Sky when cities are concerned. Things like factories and automated material processing, things like that. Shipbuilding could all take place right in cities. And that would be just a few things that would make cities attractive. Cities would need a reason to be sought out. And of course, they would have to be rare. No Man's Sky has quite a few hubs, particularly the Galactic Hub, that could really benefit from exclusive cities, making cities hard to find and almost exclusive to those types of zones. This would make those popular hubs even more of a reason and even more attractive to folks all around the game to travel to. So while to me, right now, No Man's Sky as we know it wouldn't really have a practical reason to add cities, but 3 years end and multiple updates coming, particularly with optimization specifically for VR, it's becoming less and less easy to make a case against adding cities. But for those of us who are objectively against the concept of cities currently as we know the game, we're running out of reasons to say that maybe we shouldn't, and Hello Games could easily make the case why we should. Folks, please do let me know in the comments what you think about cities in the game currently or beyond, and if I didn't cover it in the video, why or why not, or both, could No Man's Sky use cities? And of course, if this was helpful to the No Man's Sky viewing experience and you learned something new, please do like, subscribe, bell, all that other trash. And as always, it's good to see every one of you, and thanks for coming back, and we'll see you next time.